The sun of the dry planet burned like fire, turning the ground into cracked lines that looked like old scars. The wind carried sand, dust, and the smell of death. Nothing grew here anymore. No green, no fruit, no water, only hunger lived on this land. And in the middle of this dead world walked an alien mother named Lyra, holding her 2 starving children in her arms. Her children, Terra and Meko, were too small for their age. Their ribs showed like sharp bones. Their lips were dry, their eyes half closed, almost lifeless. Every few steps, Lyra felt their bodies grow heavier. Not because they gained weight, but because they were losing strength. She had not eaten for days, so her children could have the little she found. Even then, it wasn't enough. The village behind her had already given up. Many families died the week before. Many escaped in search of food, but never returned. Lyra remembered the last words of her neighbor. "Your children are too weak. They will not survive the night." But Lyra refused to accept that. She tied her children to her chest and began walking toward the only place left her. Place people feared and respected. A human farm. Everyone said humans were powerful, cold, and dangerous. They said humans guarded their land with weapons and traps. They said no alien ever returned after approaching the human farm. But Lyra had no other choice. If she stayed on her dying land, her children would collapse forever. If she walked toward the human farm, maybe a miracle could happen. But the road was long. The sand cut her feet. Her hands shook. Sweat dried on her skin the moment it appeared. She whispered to her children, trying to keep them awake. "Just a little more. Please stay with me." Hours passed. Her vision blurred. She felt dizzy. But then through the heat, she finally saw it: green grass, trees, water pipes, solar towers, and a large house made of metal and wood. It looked like a miracle in the middle of a desert. It looked full of life. It looked like hope. Her steps grew faster, even though her legs felt like stone. Tears filled her eyes as she reached a tall metal gate. She pushed the buzzer with shaking fingers. No answer. She pressed again. Still no answer. Her heart started to break. Maybe humans truly were cold. Maybe no one would help her children. Maybe she came all this way only to watch them die at the gate. Her knees gave out. She fell hard onto the ground. She placed her children in front of her, hoping the owner would at least see them. Her voice cracked, weak but full of pain. "Please, human, if you are inside, please help my children. I will work. I will labor. I will do anything. Just save them." Silence followed. The wind blew sand across her clothes. Her children made faint sound, small whimpers, too weak to survive much longer. Lyra pressed her forehead to the ground, begging again, crying loudly now. "Human, I beg you. I will give my life. Just save my babies." For a moment, she thought no one heard. For a moment, she felt the world closing in on her. For a moment, she felt everything was over. But then a quiet metallic sound came from behind the gate. Click, clank, slide. The lock opened, the gate slowly moved. Lyra raised her head with fear and hope mixed together. A tall human man stepped out. Broad shoulders, dirt on his clothes from hard work, a calm but unreadable face. His name was Evan, though Lyra didn't know that yet. His boots stopped right in front of her. She tried to speak, but her voice broke completely. She lifted her children toward him with trembling hands. "Please, save them, they cannot survive another hour." Evan didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He didn't yell or push her away. Instead, he slowly kneeled down. His shadow fell over the children. His hands, warm and strong, touched their fragile faces. He checked their breathing, their pulse, their temperature. Lyra watched him with fear, unable to guess his thoughts. Then Evan looked up at her, his expression still calm, but his voice firm and clear. "Come inside." Those 2 words hit Lyra like a burst of light in total darkness. Her heart shook with disbelief. Humans were supposed to be cold. Humans were supposed to say no. But this human, this stranger, was the first person in months to show her a little hope. She didn't know why he decided to help. She didn't know what. Danger waited inside. She didn't know if she could trust him, but she had no choice. Her children needed him, and as Evan lifted both children in his strong arms, Lyra felt the first spark of safety she had felt in years. Her story, full of fear, mystery, and unknown danger, was just beginning. Evan carried the 2 weak children through the open gate, moving with steady, controlled steps. Lyra followed behind him, stumbling with every step, but refusing to fall. She didn't even wipe her tears, she simply stared at the human who now held her whole world in his arms. Inside the farm, everything felt unreal to her eyes. Wide green fields stretched in every direction. Machines hovered around, cutting grass and repairing soil. Blue water sparkled in transparent pipes. Real birds flew across open sky. Lyra could not believe this place existed on the same dying planet she came from. She whispered in shock, "How is this land still alive?" Evan didn't answer. He simply walked into a large metal building attached to his house. To Lyra, it looked like a strange mix of a barn and a clinic. Clean, bright, strong. He placed the children gently on 2 beds made from soft human fabric. A white machine lowered itself from the ceiling, scanning the children with a soft hum. Lyra stood frozen at the door, afraid to breathe, afraid to interrupt. Evan finally spoke with a calm voice. "Sit." She obeyed instantly, sitting on the cold floor. She did not care about comfort, she only cared about her. Children. The machine beeped. Evan read the results on a small screen. Severe dehydration, low oxygen, near shock. Lyra's heart dropped. Tears fell again. Can they survive? Evan looked at her. His voice was firm, not cruel, just honest. They should. If treatment starts now. He activated the machine. 2 small tubes uncoiled and connected to the children's arms. Blue liquid flowed in a human nutrient formula. Another device placed soft oxygen patches on their noses. Slowly, very slowly, color returned to their cheeks. Lyra covered her mouth, fighting the urge to scream in relief. She whispered, "Thank you. Thank you, human." She tried to bow, but Evan stopped her with a raised hand. "No need." He focused on the children again, checking their breathing and adjusting their blankets. Lyra watched him closely. She expected a price. Humans always wanted something in return. They always demanded labor, land, or loyalty. No one ever helped her people for free, so she forced herself to ask the question she feared most. "What must I do for you?" She whispered in a shaking voice. "I will work. I will labor every day. I am strong. I can do anything." Evan finally looked at her. His eyes were tired, hard, old, with some kind of pain she couldn't understand. But when he spoke, his voice was gentle. "First your children live," he said. "Everything else later." Lyra lowered her head. She didn't know what to think. She didn't trust humans, but this one confused her. He showed no greed, no anger, no pride, just silent responsibility. But something felt strange. Something in his eyes, something in his voice, like he was hiding a heavy secret. Before she could ask anything, the ground suddenly shook. A loud thud echoed from outside. Lyra jumped in fear. Evan didn't flinch. He simply straightened his shoulders and walked toward the door. She whispered, "What is that sound?" But Evan didn't answer. He paused at the doorway, listening carefully. The sound grew louder, closer. Not footsteps, not machines. Something else. Big, heavy, alive. Lyra stood up fast. "Is it dangerous?" Evan turned slightly, his face still calm. "Stay here. Don't leave the room." Her heart pounded. "My children, they'll be safe," he said. "I won't let anything reach them." He locked the door from the inside and stepped out. The silence in the room became painful. Lyra's hands shook. Her eyes stayed glued to the locked door. Every beat of her heart felt like a drum inside her chest. Something was wrong with this farm. Something lived out there in the green darkness. She looked at her children. They were breathing better now, but still weak. Then she noticed something she didn't see before: deep scratches on the metal walls. Long marks. Claw marks. Something big had attacked this building before. Her breath caught in her throat. She whispered to herself, trembling, "What hunts this place?" A faint roar echoed from outside. Not an animal, not a machine, something intelligent, something cruel. Evan's calm words returned to her memory. "They'll be safe. I won't let anything reach them." Lyra suddenly felt a strange mix of fear and trust. This human was not ordinary. He lived alone on a massive farm. He had scars on his walls. He had machines guarding every corner, and he walked out toward danger without hesitation. Outside, another roar shook the ground. Inside, Lyra held her children tight and whispered, "Please, human, please, come back alive." She didn't know it yet, but this night would change everything. The roars faded into the distance, but the silence that followed felt even heavier. Lyra stood beside the medical beds, breathing hard, trying to calm herself. The machines hummed softly as they continued healing her children, but her eyes remained fixed on the locked door Evan had walked through. Minutes passed, then more minutes, still no sign of him. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed in her chest. She wanted to run after him, but she remembered his order. "Stay here." She hugged herself, trying to silence her shaking hands. Lyra had faced hunger, storms, and sickness, but she had never felt fear like this. Something was out there, something strong enough to scratch metal walls and shake the ground. With its footsteps, what kind of enemy lived near a human farm? She stepped closer to the window, but it was tinted from the outside. She could only see shadows, tall, moving shadows that passed through the green fields. She heard rustling, odd clicking noises, and the low thump of something large circling the property. Her breath shivered. Why does a human live alone in a place like this? The door handle turned. Lyra gasped and stepped back, ready to protect her children with her own body if she had to. The door opened, and Evan walked in. But something was different. His shirt was torn at the sleeve, and he had a long scratch across his arm. It was not deep, but it looked fresh. Lyra rushed forward, panic exploding inside her. "You're hurt." Evan looked at the scratch as if it was nothing. "It's fine." His calmness scared her even more. Only someone used to danger acted like this. "What was out there?" she whispered. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he checked the children, adjusted their nutrient feed, and scanned their temperature. Only when he finished all this did he finally speak. "There are things in this land," he said quietly. "Things that hunt the weak." Lyra's blood turned cold. "Hunt who?" she asked. Evan's eyes met hers, and she saw something she hadn't seen before, sadness mixed with anger. "Anyone they think they can take." Her hands clutched her clothes tightly. "US." He nodded once. "But why?" "We did nothing. They don't care." Lyra felt a weakness in her legs. She sat down heavily. Her children were safe, for now. But the danger here was worse than starvation. Evan walked toward a metal locker at the side of the room. He pressed his palm on it, and the locker opened with a mechanical click. Inside were weapons, blasters, shock rods, protective armor, tools built for survival. Lyra stared, shocked. No farmer owned weapons like these. No normal human lived like this. Evan spoke without turning around. "Your arrival didn't go unnoticed." "What does that mean?" she asked. "Those creatures, they follow the scent of weakness. They probably tracked you from miles away." Her heart dropped. She had already lost so much. Now she brought danger to the one place where her children finally had a chance to live. "I should leave," she whispered. "I can't bring danger to your home." Evan shut the locker and walked toward her. His voice was firm. "You're not leaving. Not until your children can stand." But no, there was no anger in his voice, only certainty. "Whatever is out there," he said, "I can handle it." Lyra stared at him. Her fear was real, but so was the confusion growing inside her. Why did this human care so much? Why was he protecting them? Why was he risking his own life for strangers? Her thoughts were interrupted by a distant mechanical beep. Evan reacted instantly. He grabbed a small tablet from the wall and checked the screen. His face tightened. "What happened?" she asked. "The northern fence," he said. Something crossed it. Lyra felt her breath stop. Is it them again? Maybe, Evan said. Or something worse. He turned to her quickly. Stay with the children. Don't open the door unless you hear my voice. She grabbed his arm before she could stop herself. You can't go out there alone. His eyes softened for the first time. I've been alone for a long time. Then he gently removed her hand and walked out again. The door shut. The lock clicked. Lyra's chest tightened. She felt trapped between two fears. The monsters outside, and the fear of losing the only human willing to help her. She moved toward the window again. Outside, the field lights flickered, casting long shadows. She saw something tall move near the fence. Not human. Not animal. Something shaped like a nightmare. Her hand pressed against the glass. Evan, come back. She didn't know it yet, but the real danger was only beginning, and the farm was not the safe place she thought it was. It was a battleground asterisk. The night fell fast around the human farm, swallowing the fields in deep darkness. The only light came from thin blue security beams running along the fences, flickering. Weak, like they were afraid of what moved outside. Lyra stood near the window, shaking, her breath fogging the glass as she tried to see where Evan went. Her children slept quietly behind her, safe for now under the warm clinic lights, but Lyra's heart refused to rest. Something heavy and dangerous was out there. She could feel it in the air, thick, tense, waiting to strike. A sudden bang made her jump. Another bang, then a low, terrible growl. The lights outside flickered harder, the beams stretching across the field like dying veins. Lyra whispered, No. No, they're back. Her voice trembled as she backed away from the window. She ran to her children, placing her hands on both of them, feeling their soft breathing. She promised to protect them, but she was trapped behind locked doors with no strength, no weapons. No help except the human outside. Her legs trembled. What if he doesn't come back? She whispered to herself. What if he dies because of us? Before she could finish the thought, the entire building shook. Thud. The impact made tools fall from shelves. Machines beeped in warning. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Lyra grabbed her children tighter. Her heart hammered so loud she could barely hear anything else. Outside, she heard deep voices, alien voices. Sharp, guttural, threatening. They spoke a language she recognized from her childhood. A language used by the hunters who used to travel through villages to steal weak people. Hunters known as Darvoks. Tall, armored, heartless. Her eyes widened in horror. They found us. She whispered. They really found us. She crawled toward the door, pressing her ear against it, trying to hear Evan. But she heard only the hunters' voices. Gate is locked, one said. Break it, another growled. Find the alien mother. She owes us a debt. Lyra covered her mouth to stop her sobbing. She remembered that day her village attacked, her husband taken, others killed. She grabbed her children and ran. But the Darvoks never forgot. They tracked their prey like machines. She thought she escaped, but they followed her. To the one place where hope lived. A loud metallic scream echoed. One of the farm gates bent inward, pulled by enormous strength. The security lights exploded with sparks. Then the voices stopped. Silence. A terrible silence. Lyra felt her blood freeze. She knew what silence meant. They were inside. She grabbed a metal tool from a tabula, small wrench. It wasn't a weapon, but it was all she had. Her hands shook as she held it. If they come, I will fight, she whispered fiercely. I may die, but they will not take my children. Another crash shook the door. This time, it wasn't the gate, it was close, very close. The sound came from the hallway outside the clinic room. Heavy footsteps echoed, slow and sure. Something massive dragged and slammed against the hallway walls. Lyra held her breath. Then she heard a familiar voice, Evan's voice, but it was rough. Strained, angry. Step away from my land. The hallway trembled as something was thrown. Against the wall, Lyra pressed her ear harder against the door. She heard the hunters laugh. You are only one. Human, a Darvoks growled. And we are many. Evan's answer was cold. Then leave none of you standing. The room filled with crashing, roaring, metal hitting metal, claws scraping the floor. Lyra flinched with every sound. The clinic lights flickered as the power lines struggled. Then something huge slammed into the door from outside. The metal dented inward, inches from Lyra's face. Her children woke up crying. "Mother, what's happening?" Tara sobbed. "Stay behind me," Lyra said, voice shaking but strong. But then the hallway went silent again, slow. Heavy breathing came from outside the door. Too deep to be human. Lyra pointed her wrench forward. Tears running down her face. The door handle turned. Slow. Steady. Her heart nearly stopped. The door opened just a few centimeters. A giant armored claw forced its way through. Lyra screamed and swung the wrench, striking the metal arm as hard as she could, but the creature didn't even flinch. The door pushed open wider, then a sudden gunshot exploded. The claw jerked back in. Pain. More shots followed. The door slammed shut from the outside, and Evan's voice yelled, "Lyra, get away from the door." She grabbed her children and rushed to the far corner. Evan's silhouette moved past the small window in the door fast, fierce, like a soldier running through battle. More roars, more gunfire, more chaos. Lyra held her children close, whispering prayers, hoping the human who saved her children would survive long enough to save himself. Because the hunters were not just visiting, they were here to kill, and the night was far from over. Smoke drifted through the hallway outside the clinic, thin and sharp, carrying the scent of burned metal and alien blood. Lyra crouched in the corner with her children, holding them so close she could feel their tiny hearts beating fast in fear. Every sound outside, the roars, the gunshots, the heavy footsteps, felt like a hammer smashing against her chest. She heard Evan's voice again, low, angry, but steady. "I said, step away." Another blast shook the building. Something large crashed to the ground, rattling the entire clinic. Lyra pushed her children behind her, even though she felt helpless. She had no strength, no weapon, no way to fight monsters like the Darvok, but she refused to let them take her children. Not now. Not after everything. From the other side of the door came the deep, guttural voice of a Darvok's commander. "Human. You are strong," it growled, "but you are only one." Evan's answer was a sound she never expected, tired sigh, almost sad. "That was enough before," he said quietly. "It will be enough now." The next moment exploded with violence. Laser fire cracked through the hallway. Darvoks roared in pain. Metal tore concrete split. The hallway lights flickered like dying stars. Lyra couldn't stop shaking. She tried to peek through the narrow clinic window, but saw only shadows fighting. Evan's fast movements against the massive shapes of the hunters. His silhouette looked like a blur, shifting left, then right, dodging claws, firing precise shots. One Darvok smashed against the clinic door again, leaving a deep dent. It slid to the floor, dead or close to it. Another voice shouted, full of fury, "Why protect her, human? Why protect the weak?" Evan answered through gritted teeth, "Because someone should." That single sentence made Lyra's breath catch. Weak, yes. Starving, yes. Hunted, yes, but protected. She had never known protection until now. The Darvok's commander let out a cruel laugh. "You protect her because you lost your own family. That is the only reason you fight so hard." Lyra's eyes widened. What did that mean? Before she could think, a loud crash echoed. Evan was thrown against the clinic window, his shoulder hitting the glass, cracking it. He groaned, but he didn't fall. He pushed himself up and glared at the commander. Lyra whispered, "Evan, please get up." He moved again faster than she expected, slamming his weapon into the commander's jaw. The alien staggered back, surprised by the force. Evan didn't stop. He attacked with the force of someone who had nothing left to lose. Lyra covered her children's ears as another explosion ripped through the hallway. The commander roared in pain, then silence fell. A long, heavy silence. Lyra's chest froze. The hallway door slowly opened. Smoke drifted inside. Footsteps approached. She lifted her wrench again. Hands trembling. ready to throw herself in front of her children. A shadow appeared in the doorway. Tall human. Evan stepped inside, limping slightly, covered in dust, cuts, and bruises. His shirt was torn. His arm bled. But he was standing. He had survived. Lyra couldn't hold back her tears. She rushed to him, but stopped halfway, unsure if she should touch him. "You're hurt," she cried. Evan wiped blood from his forehead. "I've been hurt before." She shook her head. "You fought for us. You fought all of them. Why?" Evan sat down slowly against a wall, breathing hard. He didn't answer immediately. He looked at the children sleeping again, safe in their beds, and a softness filled his eyes. "Because," he said slowly, "no one saved my family when they needed help." Lyra felt her heart twist. She knelt beside him. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't need to know." His voice was gentle, broken around the edges. "But I won't let the same thing happen again. Not to your children." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You protected us when no one else would." Evan didn't look at her. He stared at the broken door, the hallway filled with smoke. The dead hunters lying outside. "They'll come back," he said quietly. "Stronger? With more numbers." Lyra's breath stopped. "Then what do we do?" Evan wiped his hands on his torn shirt and stood slowly, pain in every movement. "We don't wait here," he said. "We move. We leave this farm before they surround it." "But where?" Lyra asked. He looked at her, his voice calm but firm. "To Earth," Lyra gasped. "Earth, the safest human world. The one planet the Darvoks never dared approach. But you would take us?" she whispered. Evan nodded. "I won't let your children die. Not here. Not while I'm still breathing." Her tears fell freely now. For the first time in her life, a human had chosen to stand with her. Evan lifted one of the children gently in his arms. "Get ready," he said. "Tonight, we run for life." And for the first time, Lyra believed they might actually survive. The farm felt wounded. Smoke curled from broken walls. Sparks dropped from cut wires. The once bright security beams lay shattered across the fields. Evan carried Meko while Lyra held Tira close, walking quickly through the cracked hallway. Every step sounded louder in the silence left after the battle. Lyra could feel danger still lurking. The night outside was too quiet, too empty, like the darkness itself was holding its breath. "Are more coming?" she whispered. Evan nodded, jaw tight. "They never attack alone. This was only the first wave." Lyra swallowed hard. She knew he was right. The Darvoks hunted in groups, sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds. If they had found her once, they would not stop. "When do we leave?" she asked. "As soon as I activate the shuttle," Evan said. "Shuttle." Lyra blinked in confusion. "You have a shuttle? You can fly?" Evan didn't look at her as he answered, "I used to be a soldier." The words fell like cold stones into the room. Suddenly, everything made sense. The weapons, the defenses, his fast movements, his calm reaction to danger. He wasn't just a farmer, he was something far more dangerous. They reached the back of the clinic. Evan pressed his hand against a metal panel, and a hidden door slid open. Inside was a dim room filled with crates, old uniforms, fuel canisters, and a large machine under a dusty cover. "The shuttle is here," he said. But before he could pull the cover off, a loud alarm screamed through the building. Red lights flashed. Evan froze. "No," he whispered. "They surrounded the farm." Lyra gasped. Her heart dropped to her stomach. Already, he checked a small glass screen on the Walla map of his land. Red dots appeared everywhere. Dozens, maybe more. "The Darvoks army," he said quietly. "They want you." Badly. Lyra felt her knees weaken. She clutched her child tighter. Tira whimpered in fear. "We cannot fight them," Lyra whispered. "There are too many." Evan grabbed a rifle, loading it fast. "I'll clear a path. You run to the shuttle when I tell you." "No," Lyra said, stepping closer. "You cannot go alone." He didn't look at her. "I have to." She grabbed his arm. "Evan, you will die." His eyes finally met hers. I know. The simple honesty shattered her heart. Her chest tightened painfully. She saw something in his eyes. Something tired, lonely, and ready to end. He wasn't only fighting for her children. He was fighting his own ghosts. But before she could speak, again the world outside erupted in thunder. Boom. A massive explosion shook the entire farm. Metal walls trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with power. The Docs were using heavy artillery. Evan stepped in front of Lyra, protectively. "Get behind me." But something strange happened. The shockwave hit the building, but it never reached them. A pulse of blue light burst from Lyra's body, forming a dome of energy around them. Dust and debris bounced off the glowing shield. The children blinked in confusion. Evan stared in shock. Lyra opened her eyes slowly, panting, confused by the sudden force. What did I do?" she whispered. Evan's voice came out stunned. "You protected us." Lyra shook her head. I don't have powers. My people lost them generations ago. We are weak. We are nothing." Evan stepped closer. "You're not nothing. You just saved all of us." The lights dimmed. The shield vanished like smoke. Lyra collapsed to her knees, drained and trembling. Evan caught her before she could fall completely. "Stay with me." Her breath shook. "I don't understand." It was like something inside me woke up. Evan looked at the cracked walls and the surviving equipment. His soldier mind raced. "Your energy came from fear," he said. "Instinct. Ancient ability. Maybe hunger suppressed it, but danger brought it back." Lyra stared at her hands. "If I can do this, why could I not protect my village?" Evan answered softly, "Because you never had hope before." Another explosion hit the outer fence. This time the shield did not rise. Lyra was too weak. Evan lifted her into his arms, forcing strength into his voice. "We don't have time to think," he said. "Your power bought us 1 minute. That minute will save your children." He carried her to the shuttle. As the farm shook around them, the roof groaned, walls cracked, alarms wailed. The Darvoks were breaking through, and Lyra, half-conscious, whispered, "Evan, if I lose control of the power, run. Don't let me hurt you." Evan held her closer, shaking his head. "I won't leave you. Not now, not ever, but outside." The Darvoks commander roared, "Bring me the mother," and killed the human. The final battle was coming. The ground shook like the world was ending. The roof above the hidden hangar cracked as dust fell in thick clouds. Outside, the Darvoks army roared, their metal boots thundering closer, their weapons charging with a deadly hum. Evan carried Lyra toward the shuttle, while she fought to keep her eyes open. Her children followed behind, holding hands, trusting the human who had saved them again and again. "Stay close," Evan said, voice strong, even though his body was exhausted and bleeding. He placed Lyra gently inside the shuttle's passenger seat. Her breaths were shallow, her skin pale. She tried to sit up, but her strength left her again. "Evan," she whispered, "they will break through. You must leave without." "No," his voice cut like steel. "I'm not losing another family." Lyra's heart tightened painfully. She didn't fully understand his past, but she felt the weight of his words. This human had lost people he loved. This time, he refused to lose anyone again. He turned on the shuttle's power. The old engine coughed to life. Lights flashed. The floor VIB, RATAD. But before the engines fully powered up, the hangar doors shuddered as something hit them from the outside. Boom. A huge dent appeared. Evan grabbed his rifle and ran to the doorway, shouting, "Hold on. I'll buy us time." Lyra forced her hand toward him. "No, don't go, you can't fight an army alone." He looked back at her, tired, hurt, but fiercely alive. "Watch me." He stepped outside. The hangar lights flickered, shadows moved, and the Darvoks commander appeared, pushing the doors inward with monstrous strength. 8 feet tall, black armor, glowing eyes. Rage burned in every movement. "There you are," the commander growled. "The human who thinks he can protect prey." Evan didn't lift his rifle immediately. He simply looked at the commander with a quiet, dangerous expression. You came to the wrong farm. The commander laughed, deep and cruel. You are alone. Evan raised his rifle. I've been alone before. The next second exploded with motion. The commander charged. Evan fired. The bullet hit the alien's armor, but didn't pierce. The commander slammed into Evan, throwing him back across the floor. Evan rolled, coughed, but stood again. Lyra screamed from inside the shuttle. Evan. He didn't look at her. He couldn't. He charged again, swinging a metal beam he pulled from the floor. It cracked against the commander's face, leaving a dent in the armor. You fight like a warrior, the commander growled, but you bleed like a human. Evan spat blood. Good means I'm alive. The alien roared and slammed him against a pillar. Evan gasped, his breath knocked out. Pain shot through his body, but he didn't stop. He grabbed a broken pipe and drove it into the commander's shoulder. The alien howled in rage. Lyra's children cried, "Mama, Evan will die." Lyra tried to stand. Her legs shook. Her vision blurred, but she forced herself to rise. I must help him, she whispered. I must protect the one who protected us. She stumbled out of the shuttle, nearly collapsing, but something inside her flared weak, shaky, but real. A small spark of the same power she used before. Evan saw her and shouted, Lyra, no. Stay with the kids. But she shook her head. I won't abandon you. The Darvox commander turned toward her. Ah, the mother. The one we came for. Evan pushed himself between them, raising his weapon again. You'll touch her, over my dead body. That can be arranged. The commander lifted his arm, to strike. A pulse of blue light erupted from Lyra's body, not strong like before, but sharp, like a blade of pure energy. It sliced the commander's attack in half. He stumbled back, shocked. Evan grabbed Lyra as she collapsed again, holding her against him. I told you, she whispered faintly. I will fight too. The commander roared and charged again, but this time, Evan didn't fight. He hit the emergency switch on the wall. The hangar's ceiling opened. The shuttle engines roared, wind blasted dust. Everywhere, Evan lifted Lyra in his arms, grabbed the children, and ran toward the shuttle. The commander lunged. Evan jumped inside and slammed the door. Strap, he shouted. The commander slammed a fist against the glass, cracking it. The shuttle blasted upward. The farm shrank below. The Darvox grew smaller and smaller until they were only shadows on the burning ground. Lyra leaned against Evan, exhausted, tears running down her cheeks. Evan, why did you save us? Why risk everything? He looked at her, eyes soft, voice steady. Because no parent should beg to save their children. Not in my world. Not anymore. Her children crawled into his arms, trembling but safe. For the first time, Evan didn't push anyone away. He held them, all three of them, as the shuttle carried them toward Earth. A new dawn rose across the horizon, bright, warm, full of life. A new home waited. A new family had formed. And for Lyra, the human who saved them was no longer just a protector. He was hope.